Good day traders, welcome to the RMDTRADER Weekly Market Fix. We trust everyone had a blessed Passover weekend and are once again ready and rested for the week ahead. For this week, I decided to review some of our calls from last week to see how they played out and also what we can expect for this week. And we'll also conclude this week's video by looking at Bitcoin. So since we will mostly be doing a review of our analysis from last week, let's start by looking at Forex. And last week we covered the AUDUSD. And as we mentioned that we had our monthly pivot acting as an important area of resistance at 0.739. And of course, we mentioned should that fail, a likely area of support would of course be that daily 200 SMA where it converges with this important 75% Fibonacci retracement area. So at this point, we are currently approaching this area. We have broken below the monthly pivot. This area is currently the weekly S1 as well as the 61.8 Fibonacci retracement area, but I suspect we might still see a bit more downside before we can expect buyers to step back in and drive price higher. Of course, we have the new weekly pivot at 0.742, which has not yet been tested. It's sitting right at that yearly pivot. So if we can get back to this level and get above that, then we will probably see price and trend continue to the upside, slowly making its way towards this target area up here at the monthly R1 at 0.762. Having a look now at the indices and specifically the NASDAQ, we have been covering this head and shoulders pattern for quite some time. And as I've also mentioned last week, we are expecting more the downside, and we were expecting the trend to continue lower towards this neckline area, which we highlighted at 13,420, where we have our yearly S1 pivot as well. So far we continue to see price making lower highs, heading towards this area of support. And of course, should price break below that area, we can just continue to expect more downside as this head and shoulders continue to play out. If we do get back above perhaps the monthly pivot, which would act as resistance for this week at 14,380, we could see maybe another rally, and that will have a possible target area at this level at 14,950, where we have our daily 100 SMA that will also be acting as strong resistance. We also talked about gold last week, and we specifically mentioned that this diagonal area where we had price trading last week Monday would of course act as a possible area of resistance, which it of course did, which we then saw as buyers started stepping in, driving price higher above the yearly R2, and this is now acting as a breakout. We are currently testing the target that we mentioned, which is at 113.9, which is the monthly pivot. So for this week, we probably will see a pullback, maybe to the breakout level and yearly R2, and also the weekly pivot, which is yet untested at 107.5. And from there, I probably expect to see, I will expect to see more upside as this bullish trend continues, with initial targets at 1 to 1.8. Let's also talk about gold. We mentioned this consolidation in gold, and also did mention that we would likely see a possible breakout should we get above the yearly R1, which we also did. And we can see how we had price breaking above the yearly R1, quickly coming back to test that breakout. And for this week, we of course expect more continuation to the upside in line with the trend. And we have a target level, perhaps not for this week, but you never know, of course, at the monthly R1 at 2,040. But we do expect more upside for the week to come. In terms of a pullback, if we do get a pullback, there will be support at the daily 21 EMA and weekly S1 at 1948. Finally, let's just conclude by looking at Bitcoin. We haven't talked about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in our weekly market fix videos for quite some time, but let's do that quickly, and we'll see that for Bitcoin, we had previously mentioned two scenarios, both a bullish and bearish scenario. And thus far, we've only seen the bearish scenario playing out. We've actually seen a break below major support. We are back below the monthly pivot and also back below most of those major moving averages. Currently, we are seeing some kind of consolidation of price, currently finding some support from the monthly S1 at 38,970. Should we see that break, the next area of support would be the lower diagonal at 37,250. And from there, we could see some bullish price action to retest this area up here. So I'm just going to highlight that. So we have some different areas of resistance that will step in. That is a daily 100, a daily 50, and a daily 21 EMA, which is also very important for Bitcoin. So overall, trend is down, and overall, I'm expecting momentum to continue to the downside with short corrections in between. So that will conclude our weekly market fix. That concludes this week's video. Thank you again for watching, and until next time, we wish you all the best of your trading, and remember, trade smart and trade successful.